Hello, my name is Chuck Wolf. Over the years, I've worked in many different roles, including leading my own leadership consulting company since 1994. I've worked for and with some of the best companies and universities in the world, and have had the opportunity to work with government officials, military organizations, and public and private schools. I'm a leading expert and pioneer in emotional intelligence. Since 2009, I have been a volunteer hosting a radio show I created called The Emotion Roadmap. Take the wheel and control how you feel. I really enjoy making a difference in people's lives. The show is on award-winning community radio station, WPKN in Bridgeport, Connecticut. In recent years, Simsbury Community Television has been sharing my shows on their station and on YouTube. My sincere hope is that everyone who watches regularly will learn how to use the Emotion Roadmap in their own lives by listening to people who call in to get help with challenges at work, home, and in communities. To learn more, go to www.emotionroadmap.com. If you have a comment or question, email me at cjwolf@cjwolf.com. Thank you and enjoy the show. This is Chuck Wolf. You're listening to the Emotion Roadmap. Take the wheel and control how you feel. And if you were just listening to some of the announcements, if you're listening to the station, you know that one of my good friends, Lou Pomalis, has got an interview coming up July 6th, but also Lou's going to be a guest on my show next week because he's also going to be representing WPKN with the Puerto Rican parade that's going to take place in Bridgeport. And we'll talk more about that next week. I want to thank everybody who's a regular listener to just thank you for tuning in. If you're a regular listener of my show, The Emotion Roadmap, again, I'm Chuck Wolf, and I'm here to be helpful to anyone who's got any challenges that they're facing. If you're a regular listener, you know the show's about helping individuals cope with challenging situations, many of which involve strong emotions, and that by focusing on the emotions in place, there's a really good chance that there's the ability to change how you feel to something more helpful, or at least to change the narrative around how you feel, or other ways that you might find options when you're stuck, when you're uncertain, when you're worried about escalating, when you're worried about a decision that you might make that is going to impact lots of other people, or at least people that you care about deeply. And you don't really have a best choice. It's not real clear, but you do have to make a choice, or you do have to have a conversation when the conversation might be challenging. And it might be something with a loved one in a family setting. It might be something to do with someone in the workplace. It might be something in the community. Might have to. There's a number of things that I'm really interested in trying to help with that really impact anyone out there. And the reason I do the show, and I call it The Emotion Roadmap, Take the Wheel and Control How You Feel, is because I think we have so much more capability to move our emotions to a place that we want them to be, to help influence the emotions of other people so that other people are able to get done what they need to do. And to do this in a benevolent way that's helpful to anyone and everyone. And by having you call in and you share something going on in your life and kind of walking you through what I call an emotion roadmap, talking to you about how you are feeling, how you'd like to feel about what's going on. If there's others who are key, how he or she or they are feeling, and how you'd like them to feel if you could possibly influence their feelings. And then how do you get there? How do you get from what you are feeling and what is going on in your circumstance or challenge that you're not sure about how to resolve, and then helping you come up with options. And in doing it for you, I'm hoping that everyone who listens benefits as well. So welcome to all of you who are regular listeners. This is Chuck Wolf. It's the Emotion Roadmap. It's take the wheel and control how you feel. And if you've been waiting to call me and you're waiting for me to be back on the air, I'm on the first and second Wednesdays of each month from 12 to 1 p.m. And I'm here for about an hour now. You can call me at 203-336-9756. So if you've got a challenge, a decision, a conflict, something going on in your life where you feel a bit stuck and uncertain how to proceed, then give me a call at that number, and I'll do the best I can to help you and everybody who's listening understand how the Emotion Roadmap can make a meaningful, positive difference in your life and in the lives of others. Anyone you can teach this to, if you've been listening long enough, hopefully you learn how to do this well enough that you can teach it to other people. You know that whenever you're stuck, to ask yourself the question, hey, how am I feeling and how do I want to feel? That's two questions, I guess. How am I feeling and how do I want to feel? And then trying to figure out how to get to where you want to go, feelings-wise. So again, the number is 203-336-9756. And I'm Chuck Wolf. And if you haven't listened to the show before, my background is in leadership development and psychology. I've been a family counselor. I've been a school counselor. I've been a leadership coach. I've been an expert, a keynote speaker for organizations on emotional intelligence and leadership, emotional intelligence and teamwork. I'm working with lots of organizations to help them understand how the role of feelings, the role of emotions, and how their employees feel and how their customers feel, how their vendors feel, makes a huge difference in their culture. Makes all the difference about whether somebody on Monday morning wakes up and wants to come to work or dreads coming to work, or whatever day or time of the week that they start. So if you've got something that you want to call about that's happening to you that you'd like some help with, and you think this is a great chance to call in, you've been a regular listener, or if you happen to just be tuning in for the first time to my show, I am really successful lots of times in helping people get past being stuck, offering them what I call an emotion-based plan to help them move on with their lives in a positive way. And if you feel comfortable picking up the phone, I know it's a challenge, but once you pick that phone up and you tell me a little bit about what's going on, and I ask you how you're feeling and who else is key and how he or she or they are feeling, and we start working towards a solution, you're going to find, almost like magic sometimes, options show up. And in helping you, I want to help everybody else who's listening. So let me give you the number again. It's always better to call towards the beginning of the show when I've got more time to help. Sometimes I run out of time at the very end. So 203-336-9756. And I'll give it a minute. Again, I hope that if you've got something that's really concerning to you, that you don't wait until the show's almost over, or you just feel like, geez, that was an opportunity that I should have taken and I didn't. So 203-336-9756. Sometimes there are people just waiting to call in, but if that's not the case today, oh, here we go. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please? Oh, I just lost somebody. Pardon me. Somebody we just called and it got disconnected. So I'll give you a moment again to call. 203-336-9756. If you had second thoughts, I hope you have third thoughts and you do call back. 203-336-9756. Neil Young, when I used to play music on the show, he had a song, It Might Have Been. I hope people don't go away thinking, geez, it might have been. I might have got some help if I called that guy today who has that show, The Emotion Roadmap, and just asked him some things about what's going on in my life to see if I could make things better for me, or maybe somebody I loved, or at least somebody I cared about, or somebody I needed to deal with. I just wanted to make something better than what it is. And I didn't call, and I wish I did. And Neil's song was about, it might have been. Don't go around singing it might have been. I'll give you one more shot at this. 203-336-9756. Okay. Well, I usually come on the air with things that I want to talk about, and I have that for today. So I'm going to do that. But again, if anybody wants to call or has something that they feel concerned about in their life, whether in the workplace, at home, something to do with caregiving, perhaps, or something to do with dealing with an insubordinate person in the workplace, or a difficult team player, or something to do with a challenging boss, or you're leading an organization and the culture doesn't seem to be the way you want, and you want some help with that. Those are all things that I've helped others with, and I'm happy to help you as a volunteer on WPKN. This is my 16th year on this show. One of the nicest things someone said to me one time, I often think of myself as being able to help somebody in the moment deal with something that's going on in their lives at this time. Now, sometimes it's things that have been happening for a long time. This might not be something that's new to you, but you've been struggling for a long time knowing when to retire, for example, what to do in your retirement, perhaps what to do about a circumstance where you're not getting along as well as you'd like with certain members of your work team or your family, and you'd like to see that improve. It's been going on for a long time, though, and you don't think anybody can really help. But I've helped in all those cases with different circumstances and situations with people. So if you've got something like I've just suggested, give me a call at 203-336-9756. In the meantime, let me tell you about a few things that are going on for me. So I have been trying to find ways to reach more and more people with this idea of trying to use the emotion roadmap. Oh, we got the caller back. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Oh, could you turn your radio down, please?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
This is not that caller. This is a new caller. I hear you asking for callers, and I'm like, wow, this could be like a divine intervention, maybe.
There you go. Well, new caller, old caller, whoever you. I do need to ask you just a name I can call you if I can just address you. And I also want to mention you're on the air, so you know that.
Oh, okay. Jane?
Jane. Okay. Hi, Jane. I'm Chuck,
Hi.
and it's nice to meet you. And is there something I can do for you, Jane?
Well, I've been dealing with this for quite a while. I have an adult child with autism.
Okay.
And I'm trying to help him. And it seems as though I don't know where the line is for if he's playing me or if he really needs my help.
Sure. Challenges everywhere with autism for lots of people. And so my guess is, since you've been doing this for a long time, I don't want to suggest something that's obvious that you haven't already tried. So can you tell me just some things about how you've tried to get some help for your son? Have you talked to anybody outside that might specialize in this? It could be a therapist, but it could be somebody who just specializes in neurodiversity.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
for
sure.
a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't diagnosed until he was an adult, till he was 21 anyway.
Interesting. Okay.
But yes, and like getting jobs and then not showing up, and able to do certain things, but I don't know whether he really can do it all the time, or if he can't. And I interject, and then I feel like, oh wow, that's not helping. It's like always having a safety net is what he depends on.
So you're caught between what you feel like you might be doing to enable certain behaviors that you think aren't helpful to him. Yeah.
But then again, maybe he does need it. I don't know.
Well, so you've been dealing with this for a few years now?
Oh, well, his whole life. But, just getting a diagnosis doesn't mean that that's when it started.
I see what you're saying. So it's been going on for a long time. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And have you talked to someone and gotten any advice about ways that you could deal with this that are helpful to you at all?
Oh, well, no. Everybody has advice, but it's not helpful. You know what I mean? I've gone in so many different directions, and now I'm getting old, I'm trying to figure it out.
Right. Hey, are you in this alone, or do you have a partner that's helping you with this?
He has a father, but he's not very helpful. I mean, it's not that he's not in the picture, but he's not helpful.
Okay. So, but you and you've talked about this a lot, I'm sure. And
Oh, yeah. But he doesn't, I think that he's kind of in denial on what he needs.
Okay, Jane. So let me tell you how this works. So this, basically, so I understand what's going on for you. That's pretty clear. It's something that you've been dealing with for a long time. You got a diagnosis more recently, but this has been going on for a number of years. And you have somebody else that's in the picture, the father, but he's not really part of what the solution's going to be, because he hasn't been.
Oh, definitely not. No. And also, we're not together, but we are together for him.
Gotcha.
But he doesn't really acknowledge what the problems are.
Okay. And you're just your son and you that live at home, in your home?
He does not live in my home.
He doesn't. Okay. But he does depend on you in what ways? How does he depend on you then?
Calling me 30 times a day. Just what should I buy at the grocery store? Where am I, every minute detail of everything.
So, okay. So he's
capable in many other ways, driving, working.
Just depending on you for a lot of detailed kind of things, would you say?
But also, somebody who doesn't have those social skills, so could be easily victimized, which is my biggest fear.
Has that happened?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, have you consulted a therapist anywhere along the lines? And were they?
Yeah.
And they haven't been helpful, I guess, huh?
Well, as helpful as they are in the moment, not really. No, it hasn't. This situation's not going to resolve, but I just need a place to something that will work.
Okay, I think I got it. So, a couple things. One is I can sense how you're feeling, and I think I might also be able to guess how your son's feeling. But I'd like to ask you how you're feeling and how your son is feeling. I'm not going to worry about the father right now, because he doesn't sound like he's key to this. It sounds like the two people that are key are you and your son. Does that sound right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the key thing, Jane, for me is to understand what it is you're feeling and what it is he's feeling, not every moment, but just in general about this circumstance, and also what you think both of you would like to feel as individuals, ultimately about the circumstance. So first, let's start with just how you're feeling about this.
I'd like to have a regular relationship with an adult that's going to be 30. And I mean, not that I know that he's not going to function like me or do it, with certain things that I accept him the way he is, but the amount of, I don't know, it's kind of like he reverts back to 12 years old when he's with me.
Okay, so when he's with you, you'd like to feel like you have a relationship with him where you feel he's competent and confident. Just
that I could take him out places and he would be, I don't know. I don't even know what I want. I mean, I want a relationship where I'm not feeling like I still have a teenager.
So a couple of things I could ask you in a moment. But first, I still haven't settled on the feeling. What is it you're feeling about this?
Well, my biggest fear is when I'm not going to be around.
Okay.
What's he going to do?
So you're fearful.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And how is he feeling about what's going on, do you think?
Well, he clings. He clings to me.
So he's feeling dependent?
Very.
Okay.
And that is, it's a function, I believe, of not having good self-esteem.
Okay.
Not trusting his own instincts and not trusting his own, how he would handle a situation. He never trusts that because he knows that there's a little bit of a neurological disconnect.
Gotcha. And how would you like to feel? I think you'd like to feel comfortable that your son can handle everything when you're not there.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't say everything because that would be, not, I don't know. That doesn't sound like that will ever happen. It doesn't sound realistic. But enough that, I feel that he could do more and he doesn't. Do you know what I mean? I feel that he could do more for himself, that he could really, but then maybe he can't. And I don't know where that line is.
Let me ask you a question, Jane. how would you feel if at some point your son wasn't calling you at all and he was operating on his own?
That has happened a number of times, but then I find out that he's imposing on someone else. And then it always comes back to me again.
On its own? He just comes. In other words, he doesn't see you for a while, doesn't call you for a while, and then he without you intervening, he just comes back to you anyway?
Yeah. Because that person kind of has had enough.
I got you.
You know what I mean?
I do. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, so comfortable enough to be there, to be okay when you're not there. Does that sound right?
Right. To have a normal relationship, like, oh yeah, why don't you come over for dinner? Or, well, let's go and do this or whatever. And not feeling like that has to be every day. Every minute there has to be something, Yeah.
And how do you think? You think he'd like to feel like he could be independent? Has he expressed that to you?
No. No.
No, not really. No. So
No.
So he's good with this. You think?
He is very good with this. I mean, he is very good with this. When birthdays come around, he's not very happy. He's like, I'm just getting old. I just don't like it. And I said, you're not. You're a young man. He's like, I know. I wish I was like back in high school.
Yeah. So he hasn't really accepted the independent life at all. He seems like he's tied to you somehow.
Exactly.
Well, but and let me just say one other thing too. It's possible, perhaps, that you feel tied to him too. That this gives you meaning. No. Yes.
No. I mean, other than the fact that I want the best for him and that I love him.
Yeah.
No, I think it would be better for him if he would. I guess he needs people around him, like a social circle of peers, but a lot of the peers are married with kids,
Yeah. So
it's like a no-win. I feel like it's a no-win. That's how I feel.
So it seems like there's a question about how good can it get. You don't really know if it can get much better. You hope it can, but you don't know.
Right.
Right. So I think then if you want to feel better and him feel better about his own life and about you feeling like he's starting to feel more adult to me, more in control, which sounds like the goal might be small steps, not look for a large leap necessarily at least in the near term, but look for something small that you might do together that builds that self-concept and makes him feel more comfortable. Does that sound like a reasonable way to think about how to move you towards the feelings you want for both of you?
No, it's definitely a positive idea. Yeah, it is. I mean, I'd like him to go into, something, he's sports oriented or something like a club or something like that, but he doesn't want to join anything unless somebody comes with him. Because he wants to check out this, he's very, dependent. So, I mean, maybe I could start something and then back out a little.
That's a possibility. Also, some of the things just one of the things that you said to me, and again, we don't have a lot of knowledge of each other's circumstances, but just one thing that you said made me think that maybe there's something here. You said that he'll be in the grocery store and he'll ask you what to buy. He'll call you and ask you what to buy.
Yep.
And is my sense is that that's going to be like you go through a list of things. Do you have? And then this is what you want. Why can't he make a list based on that one phone call? And the next time he calls, hey, whatever his name is, look at your list. I'm not going to tell you because look at your list. I mean, again, starting really small.
We've gone through the list thing for everything.
No. Well, but here's my point, Jane. If you answer the question for him and he's got a list and he doesn't look at the list, nothing's going to change.
Right. Well, I do. One of my normal things to say to him is, "Get what you want."
No.
I cannot tell you what to get.
No. If he's calling you and asking you what to get, I think you and he make a list of the things that he needs.
Yeah.
And when he calls you, look at your list. What's on your list? Okay, I'm not gonna answer this for you. You need to do this. And then you look at your list. Okay, you didn't need to call me for that. That's what I mean, but really small. Something where
Yeah.
when it's something where he's going to buy the same kinds of stuff every week, mostly. I mean, right? He might buy something unusual on one week, but I mean, most of the time, most of us who are going to the grocery store know what we're looking for. It's milk, it's juice, it's fruit, it's
Yeah,
vegetables,
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
meat, right?
Okay.
So there's certain
Well,
things that
that's an idea for sure. Yeah, but that's just one example.
yeah, but
But yes, you're right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it starts with that, Jane.
Yeah,
It starts with something where you feel successful and you say, I'm not answering that anymore.
yeah.
And we stop on certain things that are simple, and he starts to own it and feel better about himself. Not at first, because at first he's going to say, "But Mom, come on. I don't know
Yeah.
where I put the list. I don't know where. Put it in your phone. Put it somewhere you have access to it, because I want you and I to start looking at the things that you're calling me about and saying, hey, yeah, I love talking to you, and I don't mind you calling once a day. I like it actually." But I don't want to answer questions for you. I know you're capable of answering yourself. So one thing at a time. Let's work on one thing. Find some success in that, and then pick something else to work on. Does that feel like it might make any difference?
Yeah. Actually, yes. Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I know
that's a
it's
start.
tough.
That's
I
a
mean,
start, Jane.
it would be a baby step, but yeah, it would be something if that would work. Yeah.
So every time something comes up, you start making a list of the things you think he doesn't need to be talking to you about, that you and he could agree at some point he's going to own. And the more he owns, the more he feels like, hey, Mom, I'm starting to feel like I can do this without you. I love having you in my life. I don't want to leave. I don't want you to have to leave. But at the same time, I'm starting to feel like I can do this. That's what you want, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
So it starts with baby steps, I think, but it starts and you both feel good about that. And then you pick something
Yeah, I
else.
think he would have a much better life if he wasn't, so dependent on me. But I don't think he believes that he could do it,
And the key thing, Jane, is I'm sure you've had lots of advice over the years and tried some things.
Absolutely.
And when they don't work, you kind of fall back into just doing it because it's easier. But I think you got to, I mean, I don't know if this is it, but if you think this might be a really good idea, stick with it until you got something solid that you both can say, you don't need to call me about that anymore. And you're not calling me about that. And you and I feel great about that. And I hope you do too. And I expect you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That help?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you find more things like that, and I hope it moves the needle forward a little bit for you, so things are a little bit more positive.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it because I do feel like I'm always chasing my tail. It's just not a good feeling, and I'm just getting older, and he's getting older, and we're just doing the same old thing. So it's very, it's frustrating.
Well, you work on one thing, you have some success, you feel better about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's, I mean, the thing is, he has to buy into it. I
no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. You're just not going to answer that for him anymore.
Yeah.
No, this is the part where you have to be really careful. You're not going to answer something that he's capable of, that you both know he's capable of. You're not going to answer that anymore. You're going to say, look at that. I'm not going to answer that. You know where your list is. We fixed this one.
Maybe that's where it falls down.
Well, because it's easier for you just to say, oh, screw it. I don't know where the list is, so I'm just going to tell him, So, but that's what I mean. Pick something and work on it till it's done. And then go out and have a meal together and celebrate. We got that done. What's next?
Well, that's, sometimes you're just like too close to something to see something that's so simple. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's good.
Well, none of these things are simple, Jane. What you're dealing with isn't simple. I'm trying to give you something concrete that you can do that feels right, that's going to make a bit of a difference and makes the trend feel like it's going in the right direction. That's all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that is something that I haven't felt in a very long time. That would be great.
Well, I think you got something. Now you just got to stick to it. You got to execute it now. You got to be accountable.
Right.
And you want to model that accountability for him.
Right. Yeah. That's true. And I do have to stick to it. It's very hard if you get 30 calls a day.
Absolutely.
Not to,
Absolutely. But you should only be getting, at the end of this, you should only be getting 29.
Thank you.
Okay, and then hopefully in a few more weeks, maybe you get to only 28. But that's the idea. Nothing's going to happen fast here. But once you
Right.
start to, and if you can get a few under your belt, and he gets a few under your belt, it can actually pick up some steam. But you got to do the first one first, and then stick to
Yeah,
it.
yeah. That's the thing. I mean, if he buys into something like when he wants to get his license, my God, I mean, got everything right on the first time, didn't, and my typical kids didn't care much and had to go back and, they didn't even pay much attention to it,
So that's a strength that he has, but he hasn't locked in on this yet, and you need to help him lock in on it.
Right.
And you have to lock in on it too, because I actually believe if he stops calling and needing you so much, that's going to feel a little bit off to you too. And you got to be okay with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have a very busy life. Yeah, no,
Okay.
it would be
All right.
fine. I mean, I like to, I mean, I it's not like I'm giving him up. It's just that constant, I want to give that up.
Yeah, like I said, you're aiming for 29 phone calls a week or a day or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome, Jane. Nice to talk to you. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, same here. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Well, that's interesting. Thanks for calling, Jane. And anybody else that wants to call, let me give you the number again. It's 203-336-9756. 203-336-9756. Now, sometimes the calls take a little while, and that one took a while. So I want you to know, if you want to call, I've got 25 more minutes that I'm here. So don't go away saying it might have been. You got something you'd like to talk to me about? 203-336-9756. Well, I will tell you about some of the work that I'm doing lately, because one of the things that I'm actually very interested in is helping more and more people understand that one of the keys I've found that makes life really meaningful and at times even wonderful, even when things are challenging, is this idea of asking, how am I feeling? And if it's not what I want to feel, what do I want to feel and how do I get there? Now, having said that, I have found that I've had a lot of different experiences in my lifetime, and I have found several different streams of ways in which this makes life better for people. So, Jane, for you, just the call we just had is about family and about relationships. And actually, it's really about caregiving, right? When someone's got some kind of disability, illness, diagnosis, category of something that makes them struggling, cause them to struggle in life, and you're able to help them, that's great in the moment. But if it's ongoing and never stopping, caregiving is one of those things that can show up in multiple ways, whether it's what we just talked about, or a lot of times we think about somebody that may be a partner of ours that we're together with, who goes through something with a dementia, Parkinson's, some kind of disease that's debilitating. Oh, we got another caller. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please?
Hi, this is Kelly.
Hi, Kelly. Thanks for calling in. How can I help you?
Hi. So it's funny that you have this topic because we just found out that my husband has been diagnosed with a disease that is progressive. And I just learned about this, so it's very new.
It's raw. I can hear it. Yeah.
It's very new. However, we're not that old of a couple. I'm 7 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not that old. He will be 51 and I'm 44. And we have a young child who we had later in life. And I feel like I have many feelings.
Sure.
But one of them is, I know he's going to need help with this. And it's emphysema. We don't know a lot about it yet, but we'll learn more. But my concern is, one of them is, as someone who's his partner, I want to be there for him, but I also don't know how to take care of myself. I'm somebody who is better at taking care of other people than taking care of myself. And I don't want to go down in the process. I don't want to neglect myself in this process of being a strong partner for him. So I kind of I feel a little bit lost. And I don't know. I guess I want to know, how do I maintain goals for myself and take care of myself while also being strong and supportive for another person, and to model that for my young son who's going to be 4. He's very young.
Right. So you're going to learn about what surrounds the disease and what's likely to happen and how that's going to impact your world, and your concerns are wanting to be able to be a role model for your son on the one hand. You want to be there for your partner, but you also are very scared, it sounds like, of what's going to happen to you, because you don't tend to focus on taking care of yourself sometimes. And that's the struggle that you're facing right now. You don't want to sound selfish, but at the same time, you don't want to lose yourself in this.
Right. And I have so frequently. I've been through a lot with my husband in the past. We've gone through a lot of financial turmoil, and I've really been very supportive of him throughout our whole marriage. And I feel like a lot of times I have neglected myself, and I've put off things that I've really wanted to do. And I feel like I know that I won't be able to be a good partner if I'm not also taking care of myself as well. And so I guess I just want a little guidance in how do you continue to be supportive of somebody, but also make sure that you take care of yourself.
Well, I think it's going to be different for lots of people. Everybody's sort of somewhat unique, but I don't think your circumstances are unique at all. But the idea of who you are and what your experiences are and why you feel the way you do and why you may not take care of yourself is unique to you. I mean, that's however you were raised, whatever you believe is important in life. Those are things that you kind of carry with you. One of the things that jumps out at me, Kelly, and maybe this is helpful to just think about as a metaphor, is do you fly at all? Have you been on airplanes with your child?
Yes, I have. Yep.
And the flight attendant talks about the oxygen masks dropping down, what they say to the parents in the airplane.
Yeah. You put it on yourself first. They see that, which sounds counterintuitive.
Because you want to make sure your child's okay, but in trying to help your child, you might pass out.
Right.
To me, for you and for everybody else that's listening that has this capacity to do for others at the same time while you're draining yourself, I think it's really important to hold on to that metaphor. You can't be good to other people. You can't be there for them unless you know you're okay and you're doing things that make sure you're okay and that feels right to you, not selfish. Because there's something that causes people that believe what you believe. And excuse me for being prescriptive here, but you're not the first person I've talked to who has had this kind of experience. And so for me, is this okay to suggest this to you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because it sounds like you're asking for some help with this, and you want somebody that might have some kind of expertise in this to say this is okay, and it's not only okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's something right. I struggle with this, and I want to change that, and I've been working toward changing that in myself. But then there's a new curveball that when you least expect it presents you have another challenge in life that you didn't foresee.
So one of the things that for you to feel comfortable and okay taking care of you, this is the key. You got to know that isn't a selfish behavior, Kelly. It's a behavior that is focused on being there for your child and your husband. Because if you're draining yourself and allowing yourself to be emptied and just be, tired all the time, exhausted, you have no resilience and you just can't pick yourself up in the morning, that helps nobody.
Right. Yeah, that is helpful. That's really important to keep in mind.
So one of
Yeah.
the perspectives that you need is what's okay. I mean, you can't go wild with this, and I don't think you will. But what is going to be, and this is where you want to think through. So how do I get there? Okay, so if you accept that I'm saying yes, as an expert in the field of being helpful to other people and relationships and all of that, yes, you need to take care of yourself. Okay, it's nice to hear that, but how do I actually do it?
Yeah.
And
I
that's
guess
kind of
like
key,
I know
right?
that I know certain things make me feel better. Like I know having time to exercise is like that is so important to me, but it's crazy how something so simple can sometimes be so, I don't know, not get prioritized, I guess. So just something like simple like exercise, and then continuing to maintain some type of like bonding, like type of fun thing with like a date or something like that, which would be separate from his illness. Like it would just be normal, something like that.
Something like a date night that you pick, that the two of you go out, or but maybe even friends, something that you do with friends on occasion.
Yeah.
Even though everybody feels like they need me all the time at the moment, I need to know that I got a day with friends, I got a date with my husband, and that I can
Right.
go out and exercise. And my explanation to my husband and to my child is, I want to be there as strong as I can be for you, and I need to do these things so that I can be.
Yeah. That is helpful. It's just helpful to hear, but it's also helpful to hear that there's other people in a similar situation, because it does feel isolating.
Well, one of the things that I started to say on the air is I've been working with some people in Yale University. There's a faculty member there, Joan Monin, who specializes in helping people deal with dementia and Alzheimer's, things like that. And we are looking at how do we use this concept of emotion roadmap, which is looking at how you are feeling and asking what would be better to feel based on my circumstance. How do you get from here to there? And would that be a strategy that's actually helpful to people who are in the caregiving world? And that's sort of what you just entered into with what's going on with your husband. I mean, a lot of people have financial difficulties, and people face that from time to time, and they deal with it as best they can. But health things, they tend to not get better sometimes. And so if you're going down a trail on a road that knows that it doesn't have a happy ending, well, I mean, we all end at some point. Everything ends at some point. But what can we do along the way to make sure that we have moments in time where it feels like it's worth it? That we're doing things for all of us together to make us a family feel like it's worth it. And I need for myself as an individual to feel like it's worth it at least some of the time, so that I can be there to be as strong as I need to be for the others.
Right.
So I'm working on that right now. I'm trying to put together an online course, and then so that people can learn about this, so they don't have to be talking to me each time that something pops up. That it's available. They can go back and look at it once they've signed on to do it, and then kind of focusing on this. I do focus on lots of places in the world. Sometimes it's relationships, sometimes it's caregiving, sometimes it's workplace, sometimes it's family, sometimes it's community. I mean, we have these emotional challenges everywhere. They show up all the time. And the question is, when we notice that we're feeling something and it seems appropriate, I mean, somebody has experience like what your husband just found out. You just heard this. Of course you're going to be sad. Of course you're going to be upset. I mean, and it's a normal reaction. It's not a negative feeling. It's just unpleasant. And it's legitimate and it's right. But at some point, you accept that this is what's real. And now the question becomes, what do we do about it?
Right.
How do we make each next step? It's going to be a little different, but there will be next steps. What's the best version of the next steps that are coming up? How do we all operate in terms of the best version of ourselves, so we make the best of whatever comes? Because everybody has different challenges in terms of life. I mean, whether you're poor or rich, black or white or whatever, it doesn't, all of us face challenges, emotional challenges that sometimes stymie us. But I think if we can help people and help yourself understand, how do you want to feel and how do you want your loved ones to feel? And if that means that you got to make time for you, And you talk with them about it. You're transparent about it. You're authentic about it. That, you know, you're worried and you're scared, but you're going to be as strong as you can be. And these are the things that I need in order to make that happen. So nobody's upset if you're taking time out to go run or go exercise, whatever that looks like, or that you have some kind of social group because you have other people you can talk to and you're not always focused on just your family.
Right. Yeah. That seems important too.
Those are all things that usually help in these kinds of circumstances, Kelly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I really do appreciate it. I really do.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in, and I appreciate your calling in and having the courage to call in, and I hope that what I've said really resonates with you. And again, I think for me, that metaphor about sitting on that plane and thinking about it, I want to help my kid, but if I help my kid and I pass out, I'm not helping anybody.
Yeah, that is a good metaphor, which I hadn't thought of at all, but it makes a lot of sense. So I will use that. I will definitely use that. I thank you so much for your insights and thoughts.
You're welcome, Kelly, and best of luck with this.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye now. Well, I have time. Thanks to Jane and Kelly for calling, and I have time for one more call if anybody would like to call in. Again, the number is 203-336-9756, and I'll give it a minute because, again, if somebody would like to call, I have about 11 more minutes that I'm on the air, and perhaps I can be helpful to you too. 203-336-9756. Well, again, don't go away singing It Might Have Been. So 203-336-9756, and I'll wait another moment. Okay. Well, so I started to tell you about some of the things that I'm excited about doing. So I am working in this world of trying to work with online education with videos that are exciting. I've got some colleagues and friends from Brazil who are also in the field of emotional intelligence, and they're very excited about the emotion roadmap and the work that I'm doing. And they view me as an expert in this area, and they're trying to take what I've learned and make it into programs that they can work with businesses and teach business people how to be more emotionally intelligent via this emotion roadmap. And perhaps if you've listened to the show before, you know that I'm working on changing cultures and organizations by looking at, instead of shared values, which again, not everybody will understand this, but if you're in a big business, you probably have gone through an exercise at some point, if maybe recently, maybe a few years ago, where your company is focused on what do we value here? What are our shared values? And perhaps you've gone through that exercise and you realize that a shared value is something like respect. And it's nice to have that as a value, that you respect people in the workplace. That's the value. But if you change shared values, and this is what I've been working with in the last couple of years, to shared feelings. What do we have as shared feelings with the people that we work with? Everything changes in a good way, in a meaningful way. So if the same word, but it's attached to a meaning, it's a meaning about feeling as opposed to a value. The meaning of respect shows up like this. If respect is a shared feeling that you have in the workplace, then when I see you and I understand, you tell me respect's one of the feelings you have in the workplace, I ask you, well, do you feel respected? Are you respected here? Do people treat you respectfully? Do you feel that? And this isn't just about you, right? It's about how you show up for other people too. Are you, as a representative of this organization, whether it's a nonprofit or it's a charity or it's a Fortune 500 company or a small business, are you respectful when you represent this company? Are you respectful to the other people here? Are you respectful to any customer that might call, even if you disagree? Are you respectful to vendors? Are you respectful to anyone that might have any interaction with your organization? As an employee of this organization, when you have a shared feeling of respect, do you feel it and do you exhibit it? The dynamic's pretty powerful. So I'm working with organizations and trying to help businesses and these people in Brazil are working with me to help to share how this all works with what we call a business-to-business model. And they want to create this online program. So that's one stream. One stream is businesses. What about raising children? How about that one? So years ago, I used to be a family therapist and I was a school counselor, and I spent a lot of years trying to understand how to be a good dad, how to be a good partner with my wife, my lovely wife, Barbara, how to be a good partner. And in recent years, where I've learned more and more about emotional intelligence, and I've used this idea of, hey, wait a minute, how do they just make my child feel? Even my adult daughters, they're all grown now, and I have grandchildren. But every once in a while, I won't do or say the right thing, and I'm so much faster than I ever was before in cleaning it up, knowing when something's not right, trying to do something different. So, but also when raising kids, I think I've had a lot of experiences. I've talked to a lot of people on my show, and I've got a lot of other real experts around raising children. There's no one right way, I don't think, to raise a child, other than to say you want to raise a healthy child with a strong self-concept who wants to do whatever the right thing is whenever possible. How do you raise children so that they think like that? They want to be the best possible versions of themselves. One way you do that is by being the best possible version of you. Years and years ago, when I was a school counselor, there was a concept that was in place that Donald Faulkner was the author. He wrote a book about building self-confidence or self-concepts in children. And one of the things that I counseled parents about was this idea that sometimes you don't want to say, hey, I'm proud of what I did today in the workplace. I'm proud of being able to help Kelly and Jane today on my radio show. I think I've given you both, if you're still listening, something helpful that's going to make life a little bit better for you. And maybe a lot better over time if you really embrace it and it works for you. And I'm proud of that. But sometimes people are taught, but when you say you're proud of doing something, it sounds arrogant, like you're boasting, like you're conceited. And you don't want to show up in life like that. That's not a good look. And sometimes that's even part of some people's religious beliefs. Now, what Donald Faulkner said about this was that, when a parent wants their child to have a good, strong self-concept, they got to be willing to say what they're proud about themselves. So the children know it's okay to feel good about good things that you do. Feel proud of the things that you achieve. Feel proud of the help that you give to another person. Feel proud of your compassion and empathy for others. And he said, if you want your kids to be okay and healthy, you got to be a role model for it. Be willing to say what you did that you're proud of. That's a twist, isn't it? So when you do say it at the dinner table and you say, I'm proud of something that I did, you're not just bragging so much or boasting or sounding conceited. You're doing it because you know it's important to do for your children to hear that it's okay to be proud of something that they did too. And then when you ask them, what are you proud about that you did today? Again, it's a way to raise healthy children. So I'm going to be working on trying to have a stream where I teach everybody about this idea of an emotional roadmap, and then how to use it with caregiving, how to use it in business, how to use it in raising children, and then how to use it with our own relationships. I mean, so many of us struggle with our siblings, with our parents, with our teammates, with our leaders, with our workers that work for us, that follow us. There's so many places where this shows up. So I'm thinking that I have a basic, hey, here's how the emotion roadmap works. It's a series of questions. First, tell me your story, which Kelly and Jane did. And then let me see if I can help you. What is it you're feeling? What would be ideal to feel instead? If there's an instead, if what you're feeling isn't helpful. And usually if you're calling your feelings that you're having unhelpful. So what would be ideal to feel? And then how do you get there? And so in the case of Jane, it's one little step at a time. For Kelly, it's remembering what that flight attendant said. If you go to help somebody else and you pass out, you're not helping anybody. So it's trying to understand in a simple, focused way how to be better. What can you do to be better? The case of being proud at the dinner table, being willing to say, I'm proud about something I did. Not because you're bragging, but because you want your children to understand how important it is for them to feel comfortable being proud of themselves, of something they've done. And then, of course, what are you proud about? So try to pick the right things that you share if you want to role model certain things, right? So that's the concept. So again, you've been listening to Chuck Wolf. I'm Chuck Wolf. This is the Emotion Roadmap. Take the wheel and control how you feel. I want to thank Kelly and Jane for calling today, and for all of those of you that have listened, not just today, but over the years. I hope that you're finding this is useful across the board in multiple ways for all that you do. And I hope that life is a bit better and that somehow this show is making a meaningful, positive difference for all of you. That's the goal. In my life, I really want to make a meaningful, positive difference for others. And as I get older and think about, hey, maybe someday I won't be doing this anymore, I just want to keep doing it as long as I feel like I'm still being helpful to people. And today I was. I can proudly say I believe I helped Jane and Kelly, and I'm proud of that. And so when my kids hear this, they'll know it's okay for them to be proud of something they did today too. Okay. So my show's about to close. Again, I'm on the first and second Wednesdays of the month, 12 to 1 p.m. My shows are on podcast, on the PKN podcast, on Transistor and Spotify and iTunes, other places. So thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you again next week. Again, this is Chuck Wolf. You've been listening to WPKN 89.5 FM. And this is the Emotion Roadmap. Take the wheel and control how you feel. Bye-bye.
For over 40 years, SCM
has been the voice of our town,
bringing us together through local programming,
education,
and live broadcasts.
SCM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community,
ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings,
and celebrating milestones
like our high school graduations.
But today, SCM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions.
And it's no secret, people have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SCM receives less revenue,
even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open,
continues to educate our youth,
and keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SCM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SCM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SCM isn't just here to broadcast local events. They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive
for generations to come.
Visit our website
or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media,
where your town,
your schools,
and your government
come together.